What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Unleashed Potential Podcast, episode 54.
54.
I'm guessing 54. Episode
guessing.
54. Yes, it's been that while. We've had a nice long break. 2 months, 2.5 months?
It's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
Since before Ramadan.
Yeah, it was about 2 weeks before Ramadan we stopped.
Yeah.
2
Just
weeks.
pretty much the peak of COVID.
Yes. And
Yeah.
that's when everybody went into hiding. Ramadan when
I remember that in the group chat. Like, should we still be doing the podcast together? 'Cause we can't just be all rocking up at one house. And I was like,
Yeah, that was one thing. A workmate of mine was like, "How you guys gonna still do the podcast?" Because lockdowns were pretty harsh back then, and I was like, "Oh, it's just my house." Yeah, he said, "Yeah, it's just your house, but what if they're watching YouTube and they see for you guys linking up at your house, you know?"
We just tell them we're pre-recorded.
yeah.
But yeah, well, it's been a while. Alhamdulillah, I've seen you the last couple of weeks, but before that, everybody was doing their own thing. So I think this is the first time that we properly catch up, come back together for an episode. It's been a while. I know a lot of the viewers and listeners out there might be thinking, the boys have taken a.
We did not get COVID. We healthy.
Alhamdulillah, we're healthy. We're back. We took a break.
Yeah.
And yeah, how's the last couple of months been for you guys? Take us back to just when we stopped and in between then till now.
I think between now and when we stopped, the amount of times I was like, I'm done with I'm done with my phone. Like, I'm not picking up my phone. I'm not like going on social media. And then the amount of times I'm like, man, there's so much I don't know. I got to pick this up and figure out what's going on.
So much happening at a fast
So
pace.
much happened in the last 2-3 months that it's like every time we sit down, we'll meet. Maybe me and Haji will meet 1 week. Me and Elmi will meet 1 week or whatever. And because of the COVID stuff and like just after the COVID stuff, we didn't have a lot of time to sit down and chat. And when we do, it's kind of like half an hour and 2 hours will go by in like a blink of an eye because we've just been chatting about like everything that's been going on in the world because everything's connected, man.
Exactly. And every time we link up, it's like, yo, did you hear about what's going on now? And then now I'm at a point where it's just like, I don't even know. Like, okay, like I don't want to guess anymore. It's like, all right, what haven't I read now?
It's not even that. Like, I'll come down and go, man, have you heard this? Like, I got to tell you all about this. And then you'll be like, oh, but have you heard it from this perspective or like this angle? It's like, there's so much information and so much stuff coming in, especially since everyone's locked up at home and all these issues popping up, that there's no way you can get your head wrapped around every issue, everything that's going on and from all the information that's there. So like when we do catch up, I think there's a lot in my mind, but there's so much more that I get flooded by. Yeah. And it's a bit overwhelming at times.
Almi, run me through Ramadan for you. How was Ramadan? We closed up 2 weeks before Ramadan. Alhamdulillah, we had that charity event, which was pretty good. Alhamdulillah, successful. But Ramadan this year for you, since you pretty much had Ramadan every year here, standard.
Yeah.
How's Ramadan for you?
I was a bit different, man. Alhamdulillah, obviously it's a blessed month. It's beautiful. It's a bit different because the masajid was closed. You can't really go to like families' houses because COVID-19 restrictions, so on and so forth. But alhamdulillah, it was a blessed month, man. Like, because you're pretty much at home doing nothing or work, so you have more time to reflect. Because what happens during Ramadan, you're out and about. When obviously there's no restrictions, you're out and about. You do your daily rounds. You get caught up with a few people. You come home. It's already time to break fast, So, but staying at home like the whole day and not even getting a chance to go to the masajid at all, not even for Tarawih, it was weird, man. But in a good way, it was a blessing because I remember obviously you break your fast, you pray Maghrib, then you kick back for a bit, you pray Isha, straight after Isha, man, on the PlayStation with the boys, Other FIFA code, that's how wisely.
You know what I mean?
A couple of campaigns,
Sometimes go to Fajr, bro. Sometimes we go to Fajr straight.
Well, I mean, if you're homebound.
There was even some times where I picked up some food, like swung past one of the boys' house, like after COD. Swung past, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go, eat before, the sun rises, we gotta get off. And what are you having? And you leave it out front in the front door, put a little package, leave it out. We'll switch, But yeah, Ramadan was actually, it was weird because it seemed we didn't have that the socialness in Ramadan, but we did have a lot of like personal time. I was still working. I know some people weren't working, so for me, I'll go to work, I'll come back, and I'm just at home. And so you read your Quran, you listen to lectures, you do all that sort of stuff. You spend a little bit of time with the family, and then you have a lot of kind of like time to yourself. So I'll be playing COD with the boys or whatever it is, and then I'll be literally like, what do I do? So I think I read like a lot of books. I read like in 1 month, I think I read like 6 books in that month time. And then I was just thinking like, I'm still working like 4 or 5 days a week, you know? And I'm like, some people aren't working at all. So I was like, I don't know if you guys were, I don't know, most of you, all of you guys are working actually. You're all working. So I wanted to know the perspective of the guys that are like at home all day. And I think it'll be different because some people have families and then they're stuck with kids at home and they got to take care of kids, and some people are just by themselves at home, and it's like I couldn't imagine.
I know in March, like for us, we started working from home full time. Like Monday to Friday, you know, working from home full time. And at first it was all right, you know. It's a good adjustment because you get to see your family a lot more. You enjoy it, you know, and just the hassle of having to go to the city or to the office or anything like that, and the travel, it's all cut down, so you can literally just roll out of bed and you know log in and you're good, you know. And even when you end it, like I don't know, I just felt like I was more productive the first couple of weeks because you're working from home, but those short breaks that you would have sort of taken in the office to sort of go and speak to people, just have a couple of chats or little bathroom breaks or all those little breaks, small breaks, you can now actually use it wisely at home. Like if you got some house chores to do, if you want to sit down, just you know, have a conversation with your wife or have a conversation with, like it's now a meaningful break. It's not just some random break that just to pass the time. So it was good. It was really good. And then Ramadan kicked in, and I don't know, it kind of re-emphasized for me. Ramadan was different, but at the same time, it was beautiful because it made me miss what I used to, I wouldn't say complain, but I used to sort of not see as the most positive. Like, I wasn't as excited about going to Taraweeh, especially after iftar straight away. You know how you get so full, you get so tired, and the only thing you want to do is like a hard day, you know, a hard day of fasting, and you had a nice feed and everything. The last thing you want to do is get out in the cold, you know, especially here where it gets really cold, and go somewhere else. But, you know, like that blessing, and it is a blessing because once you get into the mosque and you're actually surrounded by these people, and even after you finish Salah, that, you know, that you feel that blessing. Camaraderie, you feel it and you enjoy it a lot more. But that being taken away from us, it made me miss it a lot more. You know, so I don't know. I enjoyed Ramadan, but at the same time, I kind of missed the old Ramadan as well.
Yeah, I think I spent a lot more time with the family, like a lot of time with the family, because you're stuck at home, and that is a good thing, especially during Ramadan. Like, it was perfect because you're in your room for like a couple of hours, you read a book, play some games, do this, and then you're like, I got 13 hours left of the day. But with the work thing, I wanted to ask you, like, do you have like a study room like that you work in, like a little office? Yeah, I do. I think that's why you were productive. If I realized, because there are some people, some divisions at work that are able to work from home, so they go home and they work, and every time they came, when they came back, some of them were miserable, some of them weren't. Some people were like, I wish I could work at home all the time. Some people were like, I like being at home, but I don't get any work done. And some people will have a dedicated like kind of area, they sit down, they get their work done. Some people are like just in their room on the couch and stuff like that, and
distractions.
There's a lot of distractions, but I like it depends. Like, a lot of people like hated being at home all day. Some people loved it, and some people hated it and then started to enjoy it after a while once they started doing something. Some people enjoyed it at the beginning, and then as it dragged on, they kind of like they just didn't enjoy it. They needed to get out, and I think that was me. I loved it for the first 2 weeks, and then I was like, I needed to get out. But it really is that personality, but you have to find something to keep you positive, which doesn't matter which group you're in. You kind of have to stay positive, and it was really tested during Ramadan because it was like one after the other. Like, there was a lockdown, and then it was kind of like Ramadan, and then there was like 4 or 5 more issues that came out of it.
What hit me the most was Eid, man.
Eid?
Like, straight after Ramadan, I was thinking, oh man, inshallah, this clears up just before Eid, or just in time for Eid. And then Eid hits, and there's no Eid Salah, and I'm like, what is going on?
I'm still on that way for this next Eid, inshallah.
I'm hoping this Eid, at least here in WA, at least, you know. But you know, first
sweet,
the lockdown happens where you can't go out and actually enjoy your weekends or you know your days off. Then you're working from home, and then on top of that, you've got Ramadan and the masajid closed, and then you've got Eid, which is like a big thing. You're like, so how do I spend Eid now? You know, like how do I the highlight of Ramadan for us was looking forward to Eid. Like that's the light at the end of the tunnel in a way, you know, for all your striving. So that being closed off was just, it was a big hit.
See, outside of the whole all the religious aspects of Ramadan, the mosques being closed and everything, outside of all of that, a big thing for me during Ramadan is like that's the time of the year where you connect with the people that you want to connect with, but you haven't had the time or the opportunity. Like, you know, those friends that you wanted to invite to your house for a long time, or those friends that, you know, now find the time to invite you, or the extended family that you get together all under one roof one time, because everybody's willing to, right? It's Ramadan, everybody's in that phase. This Ramadan you couldn't, you know, and generally throughout as Ramadan is coming, one of the things, and it's not a priority, but one of the things that I normally try to tick off is, all right, at least once or twice a week to have a specific family or a group to invite and come down and, like, you know, reignite that bond and everything, right? This Ramadan you couldn't. And for me, that's part of the Ramadan deal. Like, you've got the whole spiritual evaluation and reflection time. It's just got a different feel to it, right? Where it's like everybody, and that's the other blessing. Like, of going to the masjid, like, you know that everybody here has been fasting today. You're all going through the same thing. You know, when a packet of dates is brought out, before somebody takes one, is passing it to you, and you're passing it on, right? That brotherhood. And then on top of that, for me, is that it was that time that, you know, that extended family, that cousin, that mate, or those group of mates that, you know, that I've been wanting to invite to the house over. Now is the time where I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna get the 2 for 1. I'm gonna see the people and inshallah benefit from the ajr, right? That this Ramadan wasn't there, and for me that's a big part of what it means to be in Ramadan as well.
We got lucky because we had that. We're in WA, so we didn't get hit as bad. Firstly, in Australia, we didn't get hit as bad, and then being in WA, alhamdulillah, we're a lot better.
You know, majority of the cases from WA,
actually, in hospital,
like a good 95%
overseas.
Were people coming from overseas that were put in quarantine, and that people were coming like,
and they locked the border straight away.
You know, people came through boats, tourists came through boat, and they got, obviously they told them to go back to where you came from in a nice way, but
but like right towards the end of Ramadan, we had that phase. Was it phase 2 or phase 3 where you can have up to
50.
four people? No, this was
it
was stage 2. Yeah, so it was at like at 4 people. I think it was like 4 or 5 people. Because I remember that I had like
towards the end of Ramadan.
It was right towards the end of Ramadan because I had the same thing where. I love that socialness. I got to see the people. I got to invite the people. So right that last week, I think you came over to my house twice that one week.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys all came over, and I was just cycling through 4 people at my house over and over again. And it's just like, I got to have the people. And it was kind of like, it was a bit risky because 4 people means like to limit the amount of people. But if you're cycling 4 people in every day, like kind of what's the point? But but I had to, like, because we had that restrictions kind of like easing up towards the end of Ramadan, and it kind of made it more bearable because you knew like, okay, we're not going to have the Eid Salah, but you like in the way Australia and WA was going, it's like, okay, cool, it might be another week or 2 where it'll jump up to 50 because there were those talks like that. So then all the plans that you want to do in Ramadan are all being written down. We went fishing, we did quite a lot of stuff, and a lot more would have got done now than if there wasn't no lockdown. Because like you said, we miss it more now.
No, 100%. And now a lot of people are starting to appreciate the blessings that we did take for granted, but those that we have still, you know.
It's on the radio every day, like visit WA, like travel. Make sure you see everything. There's no need to go overseas. And
so then now after Ramadan and this whole Eid phase, we're hit with yet another thing, right? And then there's this whole movement of what's going on today in many parts of the world, which I think, I don't know, it came as a semi-shock. And I think more compact and you get what I mean, like came out all of a sudden one time.
I don't think it was all of a sudden.
What are we talking about?
This whole
the Black Lives Matter. And
yes,
they had
yes.
I don't think it came all of a sudden. I think the corona was kind of like
the shining light on it.
Yeah, because with the coronavirus, they saw the discrepancies between how the different races and stuff were being treated. When you looked at certain states and they have a very low percentage of black people, when you look at the amount of black people, the amount of people that have coronavirus, it's high among the minorities, and the way the treatment's going. Like, so the way the system was set up is obviously is against sort of certain minorities and black people and women and sort of stuff like that. And coronavirus really stressed the system really badly. They couldn't get masks, they couldn't get like different sort of like systems all around the world. And since it got stressed, all the cracks and weaknesses were kind of shown. And so you saw it kind of like slowly creaking until it snapped. And people like
that's
had
what
enough.
I meant. Yeah,
People had enough. I think it was like more like a floodgate that opened. Yeah. But the cracks were there beforehand. You could see
100%, definitely. But yeah, how did you guys like?
It was tough, man.
Yeah.
Like when I've got no words, to be honest. Like when I saw that footage, it shocked me. I don't know why. Maybe it was the fact that I was at home for so long that I haven't seen the outside, and so I was zoned into social media so much to the point where it felt like the actual life. You know what I mean? That you could have outside. So I was so in it that when I saw that video of that police officer just kneeling on the neck and then finding out at the end that he actually died, like that was just a huge hit. And I know of so many other cases of this actually happening, but I don't know about this one. It was just, maybe it was a situation that
what do you think that
I
made
was in. It just hit
it so different? Like
that's what I'm saying. I think maybe it was the situation. Maybe it was the details. Maybe it's the fact that all you could see from that video was just 2 officers, but then somebody else provides other context. There's actually 4 in total. You know, the fact that the look on that officer's face, and
as opposed to the man pleading for his life.
And I don't know. It was just, and then as you find more and more details about the case, and the thing is, like, it hasn't stopped even now. Right, when you go on social media, you'll see the numbers just keep increasing of death rates at the hands of police officers. What I loved about it was the fact that people stood up, and they didn't just stand up one day or 2 days. Until now, there might not be much social media coverage of it, or news coverage, but until now, you will still see people actually in the States and so on still protesting. Against this.
And the question that is to be asked is, well, this incident and all these incidents most of these incidents that we have been caught on camera. How many out there are not being caught on camera?
There's a lot, bro.
But that made me think, because you see the video and they always reference sort of other similar stuff that happened before. Like, there's a lot of it. Like, there's this person, there's this person, there's this person. And I was asking myself the same question, like, kind of like, what made this one so different? And I think it's just, it is that, like I said, the coronavirus kind of did it. Because normally you'll see that video, you'll tweet about it, you might think about protesting, but you got work the next day, then you're gonna go out with your friends, then you're gonna go do this, and then you might not even see it because there's so much stuff going on, and you're back to your day-to-day task. But since everyone's stuck at home and it's just over and over again on your feed, and there was no way to get away from it. Whichever way you turned, it was there. There was no work to go to. There was no, like, it was just constantly there.
The only form of entertainment was social media.
What's probably
because it was there,
and then
constant exposure of it.
And since everyone's talking about it, you kind of had to put your opinion on the line. Like, what do you think about it? What are you gonna do about it?
Well, I'm actually guilty of that sometimes. The fact that like, I'll see something that might be distressful, that might be emotionally engaging, that really shocks you or rocks you, and well, I'll admit sometimes I'm like, I can't, I don't have the heart for this right now, and I'll swipe to something else. But that's exactly the point. Like, back then there was not much else, like entertainment, all these other things were like over flooded with
and I think
it made you pause and actually look. And
I think that it was one issue. Like, at that time, it was one issue everyone rallied behind, because sometimes it's, look at the police brutality, and then the next week it's some case about sex trafficking, and then the next case is about bribery and this, and then there's always this constant bad news coming on. It's always just different things, where this one was like, no, it's people in power right now oppressing like the police brutality. This is what it is, and everyone kind of focused on one point, and like, no, we're gonna go out, we're going to talk about how police brutality is harming the people, and we're going to protest, and we're going to protest until something changes. Because before it was all about social media, it's about awareness. All we're going to do is we're going to post about so everyone knows.
And honestly, do you guys honestly think there's going to be change? Honestly?
No, I do, because the last 10 years there's been awareness. There's not the first time a black man got choked out. Not even just assaulted, choked out. We've seen it, don't breathe. The hashtag has been there before. And so it's been like over 10 years now. And social media has been there for a while. What awareness, who are you spreading this awareness to? Who doesn't know at this point? So people are that frustrated now. We're like, we know everyone's aware of it, so now why isn't there change? So people are not stopping until there's change. I think that's what makes this one a bit different.
There's never going to be change, bro.
Huh?
There will be change. I'll take that back. There will be change.
It's just going to take a long time, man.
It's going to take ages, bro.
It is.
The African American people, bro, if you look at the history, they've been suffering from slaveries. They came out of slaveries, and so on and so forth, and police brutality. If you look at the video, I was so pissed off when I saw the video. I was absolutely pissed off when I saw that video. When it comes down to it and you break it down, number one, it's abuse of power. Number two is no common sense whatsoever. Number three is just straight. There's no brain up there.
I would add to that.
You know what I mean?
I would add to that. The abuse of power comes from the system and the leadership and management that allows that to happen.
I'll give you an example. Alhamdulillah, we live in Australia, bro. The police here are really good. We are very lucky.
To a certain extent.
No.
Compared
to America and overseas, they're pretty straightforward. Alhamdulillah. Obviously, we've all had our. Obviously, you get caught with the speeding, and so on and so forth.
But
fair, you have to look at the process of how the cops get. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm going big blank.
Held accountable.
How they get hired. Obviously, there's rules and regulations. You have to be certain weight, certain fitness. If you look, like the videos I see at the cops, like in America, I don't want to paint them all with the same brush. But it looks like the way they got in, I don't know how they got in, bro.
Yeah.
Because you see these overweight, huge men or women, overweight, can barely walk maybe 10 k's, 1 kilometer. How's he a cop? How's he supposed to protect and serve?
Even just the intellect,
you know what I'm saying?
For them, not even to have basic human decency, like.
But they had.
I came across.
At one point, there was someone that was talking about how they're always put in high stress situations. So eventually, their job has like an effect on their personality and their character and the way they behave. It's always like shoot first, ask questions later, because you're always in survival mode. Like you're always in attack mode. Right? They're always in that environment. But then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, if it's a white person, why are you not in survival mode and attack mode? Why is it just, you're calmed down? So it's deeply rooted, and it is a racial issue that's going to take a really long time to fix, because it's a institution that needs to be you need to adjust basically from the top down, not from the bottom up. So you can't just hold this cop accountable and expect it to fix future problems as well. Because
that's what I was gonna say. It requires more training hours to be a hairdresser.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah, things like that. Then it does take to be a cop.
What is it here? Like 8 weeks? I don't know.
It's not long
over there. It will take you longer to get qualified as a barber than to become a cop.
That's ridiculous, bro.
Yeah, and you ask.
That's exactly what they said. It takes you longer to be trained.
Which comedian
how to use a hot iron.
Yeah,
how to use
Chris Rock. Was it Chris Rock? It's like they say every time like a police officer shoots or abuses a black person, or doesn't matter whatever race, they say, oh, there's a few bad apples. Then he was saying he doesn't think police get paid enough. Well, I was watching some comedy thing. Then he said basically, you get what you pay for. You pay them peanuts. Like obviously, if you're paying someone, say for example, theoretically, 200 grand to become a cop, that guy's not gonna muck around. But if you're paying him 40, 50 grand to do his job, obviously, but it depends. It varies from.
But it's not just that. If
you understand where I'm coming from, though.
But the police force is really well funded as well.
Yeah, they're actually looking to defund the police.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Because
I seen 2 photos of the NHS workers dressed in like they've got nothing, right? dressed to make aprons. They're using plastic bags. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got a photo of the cops fully armed, geared to, like one man of them is enough to take a whole battalion, right? And then and the caption was, look at how the ones that are there to save your life are dressed versus the ones that end lives. It should be the other way around. You know what I mean?
But when they talk about defunding the police, it's not just about the wages. When you look at it, you're looking at normal police officers. There was like one state, they charged one of the, I don't know the ranking systems, but one of the guys up there, they changed it around. So they were getting paid more. The officers were getting paid more than the president was making. Like if you're in a political situation or a government position, the highest position in government is the president. And they were getting paid way more. And then when you also look officers, it wasn't an officer, I think it was like a chief or something like that. And he literally kind of rigged the system somehow to do it. And that's what we're talking about. The whole system is messed up. There's also like, you'll get a call about some sick person on the side of the road or whatever it is, and then they're going to bring a cop. And that guy might have mental issues. Well, you shouldn't be bringing a cop to deal with a guy with mental issues, because if that guy's talking all silly, running, the cop doesn't know what is. And that's what they mean by defunding the police. So situations where you don't need a cop, like the one we're talking about, that video, he was selling, I think he what was he doing?
Apparently. And the thing is, you don't need to know the background of someone in order to show basic human decency, you know. But apparently he was he had counterfeit money, you know, and the Arab, I think he was Arab, the Arab store owner basically called the police on them. And that's the other thing as well, was the fact that it makes you realize, you know, how the Muslims or non-Muslims or the Arabs and the ethnics, the other ethnicities, how they're sometimes out of tune when it comes to understanding how the relationship between the police and the African Americans, you know, and how they get mistreated. But the Europeans over there, obviously the racist ones, they're fully aware of the relationship. And sometimes, as you guys have seen, that that park lady, what's her name? The one?
No. It was the black guy was bird watching.
With
the dog. Yeah.
She was fully aware of the relationship between the two forces, right? And she used it as a tool or as a weapon, you know,
to try and intimidate
the other person. So I think even us, like the biggest thing is just to be aware of the relationship between the two, and as Islam dictates, you have to be, you know,
with justice.
With justice, and obviously that was injustice. Just thinking about the whole year, right? I mean, just thinking about the whole time that we've been away from the podcast. It feels like a year.
Yeah.
And that was just from, like, when did we stop? April? April, May, June, July. Wow, 3 months and a half or something, you know? And wow, man, it just feels like a year because of so much that has happened.
And, you know, we were stuck at home most of the time, so it should have felt longer because we had more time to ourselves. You know what I mean?
But 3.5 months, literally, like, the amount of things that
I'm actually thinking about it now. Crazy. 3.5 months.
That's all it's been, just 3.5 months. But like the amount of stuff that has happened within that 3.5 months,
it's like a year's worth.
It's a year's worth, and it's crazy, and it makes you just, I don't know, like, is the world going too fast? Are we just, you know, moving way too fast, and we need to just pause and just, you know, relax? I don't know, man.
I honestly believe time is going faster by the day.
I think maybe we just don't have barakah in the time, man, and so we get the sense of it not moving slow.
I think it's like a combination of things. 'Cause obviously, the older you get, your perception of time will change as well, and then also the fact that we're fed more information now as well. Because before, it's just newspapers, maybe the 6 o'clock news, and you know, that's about it. Maybe a phone call. That's what you get. Now it's on the second. You're getting everything from around the world that's going on.
Just depends, man. What you're doing daily. I realize if I have a busy day, busy schedule, the time flies. But if it's a day where I'm not doing as much, the time really.
But then when you look back in general over the last couple of months, you're like, man.
I feel like
right now
Ramadan
we're halfway through.
How far was Ramadan for you?
I feel like it was yesterday, bro. Time's moving too fast for me.
Really?
Bro.
You feel like it's yesterday?
Time's moving fast, man.
I feel like it was literally last year, man.
Yeah. It feels like we haven't had Ramadan this year yet.
Yeah.
Like,
Wallah, sometimes
yesterday.
over the last couple of weeks, because there's about 2 months gap between Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, yeah? And I'm like, yo, it's been longer than 2 months.
Yeah.
Normally it feels like the 2 months is up, and I'm like, did I miss Eid?
Yeah. Normally,
like, I know we're not praying, but at least there's got like,
well,
if we are praying or not, regardless, like I would have known about it, and I'm like, did I miss it? Is my timing off?
Yeah,
what's going on?
Yeah,
it's crazy. But while we're talking on the issue of all the things that happened this year, there's, especially within our communities, there's been a bit of a, I don't know how to put it, so I'll put it out there straight as it is. There's been a lot of stories, a lot of cases about sisters, specifically in this case, a lot of Muslim Somali sisters that came out with some tragic stories, some stories of filth.
Yeah.
You know, that's all I can put it as. Where sisters come out and talk about their experiences with sexual assault, in some cases rape, sexual harassment, to the point where like it blew up so much, where so much detail and vivid descriptions, names, everything has been dropped out. And wallahi, like I remember the first time I seen on one of my cousin's stories, where she's like, you know, oh my God, I wouldn't know what to do if I was in this girl's story. And my cousin never really puts stuff up like that. And then I said, okay, well, let me have a read. And I was shocked. And then I got together with you guys, and I remember catching up with you at some point as well. And Elmi actually didn't know, and I passed him the phone, and
I was
unaware. And with every scroll of the phone, I could see all the emotions in his face, the shock, the disbelief, the anger. Like it was exactly in that manner. It's like, especially within our community, I think I wouldn't say it doesn't happen. It does happen, but the attitude is out of sight, out of mind, sort of thing. The general attitude, right? And for it to be exposed in this manner, it really was like, yo, something needs to happen. Yeah. You know, and I think it really deserves being mentioned and talked about, especially with us having this platform to be able to speak about it, send some love to the sisters, show our support, and condemn these vile, barbaric, inhumane acts that stand against what we stand for, that stand against what Islam stands for, and to really preach the level and the izzah that Islam has given females, women, you know. So yeah, I just want to hear your side and your stories, and how did you guys like deal with the process when you guys first heard about this?
Man, it's not something you can process easily. I mean, I feel like at some point over the community there was some sort of like a band-aid over the situation. Like, you know it's there, but you don't ask questions, and you know that some families have a tendency to hush the victim from speaking out. So you're aware that there might be some situations that this community is definitely not, you know, they're not kept safe from this issue. Like every community, every female most likely knows someone or has known someone or is themselves a victim, right? And in this community, the issue with it is, like I said, is that it was kept a secret, even though it was known. And when it comes on social media in this fashion and the Band-Aid is just ripped off completely, it hurts, you know? And everybody, when they get to see like the damage that's been caused, or that they hear a lot of these stories, you still get a group of people who try to hush the victim even after they've spoken out, even asking unrealistic demands of the victim, to the point where they're asking for proof. Like, it's not your story, you're not related to this person, either support this person or move along. Like, I don't understand why you would you're basically using your energy to hush the victim, and it makes no sense to me.
And you have no connection to the victim, the culprit, nothing.
that's what, like, I think that was like adding salt to the injury, right? Is the fact that these people, these victims, or actually they're survivors, right? Like they came out, they mustered the courage to be able to speak out, right? And share the stories, and in turn give courage to other people, other survivors, to actually speak out, right? Because if one person speaks out, another person speaks out, it's a high chance the third person will have enough courage to actually speak out as well. And now you're on a snowball effect where everybody is just basically sharing their story, and people are being fully made to listen. And with the whole coronavirus pandemic and everything, now you're at home, you're in the prime position to just sit there, scroll, look, read, understand from the other person's point of view. And to have people to just bypass that whole couple of steps and just shut this person down, that's what hurt me the most, was the fact that these people were actually out here trying to hush the survivors. But I want to commend the sisters, man. Wallahi, for just having the courage to just actually come out and speak out against these people, because now the community is fully aware. Like, it's not just your family, the whole community is fully aware, and they're aware, and we're aware, right? Because I knew, like I said, I vaguely knew. I wouldn't say I knew for a fact. I figured, like, this is a community. This community is not going to be safe, just like any other community. Exactly. It's going to happen. It is, like, you've got situations like this that happen in every community.
Exactly.
But now you've got actual written evidence or, testimony of people that actually have experienced this. And may Allah heal them, and may Allah give them the support they need to actually be able to heal from this. But subhanAllah, just hearing these and reading them, and some of them are young too, man. Like, some of them are so young. Some of them have had multiple cases of abuse as well. Like, it's not just a one time. And subhanAllah, it breaks my heart, especially this one story that I heard, and I'm not going to share it here, but it broke my heart so much, because I've got a daughter, right? And she's young too. But just to hear this and to know that it's happened, especially some of the stories we're mentioning, places that it's happened, like the masajid. Exactly. The masjid, of all places, subhanAllah, like, of all places, the masjid, the place where you go to feel safe, that's the safest place for you beyond your parents' house.
That's it.
Right? And for this to happen, subhanAllah, I was just, until now, I'm still trying to process it. I'm like, what's happening? Like, I hope there's actually a process that's being taken place. And the most that we can do, actually, we can do a lot more. But at the very least, I'm happy that you brought it up, because I want them to know that they were heard. And I want them to understand that, we're with them, we support them. We're not trying to hush them down. And we're trying to actually 100%. Make sure that they're aware, Yeah,
I think that was the biggest thing, that the biggest hurt was exactly what you said. Like, you knew that obviously there's a possibility of it happening, and the possibility is so high that there's a chance that these things do happen. But the fact that, like you said, with the corona and the shining the light on it, how often it happens, how severe it is, and where it happens, like you said, was like this big shock where, like, I'm still processing it and trying to figure out, like, what's going on, what to do. And there's two things, if you want to, like, put it like as basic as you can, which is one, support the victims, and the second is to fix the general issue in the community. And still in shock, so the second one is going to take some time to figure out, like, what we can do to really stem the problem and fix it. But the first thing should be the support for the victims, and letting people that are in similar situations know that we have their back. And the second you do the questioning and start trying to be a judge and piece things together and blame victims and stuff like that, you're making them regret their decision for coming out, and you're preventing people that are in that position from coming out
and seeking help.
And who are you to do that? Like, if you're not going to help in any way, just keep quiet and move along. We're supposed to be showing support, and then it is super frustrating. And then there are people out there that are so frustrated at it, and so frustrated at those people, they're going directly to attack those people, when it's like, look, are you showing support? Because I know some people out there, the first thing they do is, who are those names, where are they? Let me go sort these people out. And I'm like, well, have you ever said anything to the sisters that are going out there? Have you ever shown support before you start looking at what you're doing? And the thing I would say is, it's been a while since the incident happened, but we should not act out of emotions. We should act logically and look at what we need to do, not just wear emotions on the sleeve, because we're gonna probably make more issues out of it.
The thing is, like, I think a lot of the people that go out and try and hush those people is because I think they feel some sense of embarrassment based on the fact that they're part of a community, and these females are coming out exposing the filth within this
shame
community.
In the community, yeah.
But really, the only person that should be ashamed of themselves and embarrassed is the actual, predators that are actually doing this, right? And the only thing that you should be embarrassed about is not having the support system, not having the checks and balances to make sure this doesn't happen. That's what you should be embarrassed about. Not the fact that, this has happened.
The fact that it's happening.
The fact that you didn't do anything to prevent it from happening, or the fact that you weren't there to show support after the fact that it happened.
Or being part of the solution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's why the community should be ashamed or embarrassed about.
We need to be ahead of the
anything.
problem, not behind it. We shouldn't just be, every time a victim comes out, we got support for you. We should be, obviously give the support when they do come out, but be ahead of it so it doesn't happen again. And if you're not going to shine light on the filth and ignore it to try to be pristine, then you're not going to clean it. Like, it doesn't matter. You can sugarcoat it or whatever it looks like. If what they say, paying a turd gold is still a golden turd. You know what I mean? Like, you still gotta like shine the light, lift the carpet, clean up under there, and throwing hate around and acting like it doesn't happen is the worst thing to do. Because
for me, two things become clear moving forward about this. Right. One is that, firstly, alhamdulillah, we as men that are not part of this, may Allah save us from all of this, and may Allah protect all the sisters from this sort of vile acts, is for us to do a lot more. A lot more with our voices, with our actions, holding our mates and the people that we know and the people that we engage around accountable. And it sort of starts off with, if you've got a mate that's, talking down about women, or, being disrespectful, you get that type of, you understand what I mean, that type of rhetoric or conversations, like to not brush it off as a joke, but like nip it in the bud, like pull him up, all right? And two, for us to change the way we raise our young boys, the future men, to teach them the importance of women, the respect and the value. As alhamdulillah, I'm pretty sure we've all been raised, right? I don't see any one of you guys here right now thinking of such things, because you've been raised the right way, the importance of having women around you, the importance of being raised by women, the love and respect that we should have for our women, for our sisters, for our mothers, and it doesn't wait. And I came across a guy that was like, I will be better to women when I have a daughter, And I'm just like, well, aren't you the son of a woman? Don't you have siblings? It doesn't take for you, like when you're planting a tree, if you don't plant it straight and you try to straighten it up later on, it snaps.
Yeah.
So to raise our boys, our young men, the right way, to teach them the importance of respect, and mercy and empathy and all these qualities towards our sisters, our females, our women is really key. Because the way our community right now is set up is the boys are, they're very, boys, you can go do what you want, but the girls are the ones that are given all the attention when they're young. You gotta learn your etiquettes, your culture, this, how to run a family, how to run a house, and everything, right? Whereas guys, like, is he working? Is he studying? All right, khalas, he's allowed to come and go as he pleases. He's given money. You buy your first car, you drive yourself around. No. There isn't that much interaction. For that to change, that needs to change for this to be for the long-term solution to work.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that, with the long-term solution. I also think that we should be more involved within the community, because some of these these acts that we see online is multiple people sometimes, a group of guys, like situations like that. And I'm thinking back like because you obviously see, it's happening in the community, so you're like, oh, is it around me? Is it happening around me? So I think of all of my friends, and there are people that I know but I don't know, like I don't hang out with them as much and stuff like that. And I'm like, and people talk, information goes around, and if you're more involved in the community and you pick up on these things, then you can nip it before it happens. And if you're not a part of this community and you're not involved, if you're not going to the masajid and events and going to families' houses and just generally being part of the Islamic community as a whole, you can't just look at these things and go, oh, how is this happening in my community? It's like, oh, you're not even part of the community. What do you mean, how is this happening in my community? You have to be involved, you have to be a part of it to know what's going on and to take action. So the long-term effect, obviously, the young boys, whether they're your children, they don't have to be your children.
Exactly.
You can go to, like, if you're making those remarks while you're at the masajid or at a park and there's kids hearing you and stuff like that, you're influencing the community general around you. So you gotta cut people saying of these like little rhetorics and stuff like that they let out, and you need to nip it in the bud to show example constantly, and that's just, there's so much to it.
It's tough, man.
But
it's a tough situation to be in.
No, it is really tough, but we hear you, we support you, we're here for you, and inshallah we pray for you for your quick recovery, for your healing process. May Allah reward you. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, no, the believer does not go through any hardship, even if it's the prick of a thorn, that Allah forgives some of their sins. So may Allah forgive your sins in exchange and give you ajr and hasanat, and better than what you have faced in this world and in the next. I think we'll wrap it up with this last point, which is for us as men to do better within our community, within society, to lead the way for the men to come, for the future men of our generation and the future generations, and for our sisters out there to know that we support you and we are here and you have been heard, and may Allah bless you and reward you immensely. And on that note, inshallah, we'll conclude for today and hopefully reconvene next week.
Inshallah.
Until then, thank you guys for tuning in. Catch you guys next week.